Hey there! Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. My name is Crafty Kathy. I have 5 Dollar Tree DIYs that are all under $5 to make, and they all take 5 minutes or less to make. So let's jump in. For the first DIY, you're simply going to need one of these skeleton heads, and then you're going to need 2 of the skeleton hands. These are sold separately. They're $1.25 a piece, of course. And then you're going to need a frame of some sort. You can get your frame at Dollar Tree. This one actually came from the thrift store for $1.99. I took my frame outside and I took the glass and everything out and I spray painted it with that Rust-Oleum oil rubbed bronze color. It's kind of like a metallic-y black. I've been using it a lot at Halloween. And now we're going to cut the skeleton's head in half. And this was extremely easy to do. Not necessarily with the scissors, but I'm using this cutter. I got mine off of Amazon, and I do have it linked down below. It's amazing to have. And it cut through this head as if it were a knife. I mean, it made it so easy, and it just slid right through like butter. And then, for some reason, there is a small hole on the chin of the skeleton, and I just took my little finger sander and just kind of smoothed it out a little bit. You're not really going to notice this, but I didn't want any rough edges because, like all my Halloween DIYs, this will go to my grandchildren. I grabbed a set of my string lights. I get these off of Amazon. This is actually a string that I had purchased last year. This year I got the ones that are the purple and orange mixed. This one is all a purpley blue color. Since I'm not using the glass or anything, this was really easy to slide my little controller switch through the back, and I can just glue it on. That way I can flip it on and off and it's not going to be in the way. And then I figured the best way to put my lights on would probably just kind of be to go around in a circular type motion, or a rectangle, I guess you would say, just the way that the frame goes. I was going to use hot glue to hold my string lights where I want them to go, and I really didn't want to wait on it to dry. So I found the best thing to do was to grab tape, because you're not really going to see it. I used clear tape, and hindsight, I wish I would have used some black electrical tape because my background is black. So if you do this project, save yourself an extra step and just go ahead and use the color of tape that your background is. When I got my lights exactly where I wanted them, I flipped it over and went ahead and glued my battery pack down. Then the next thing that we're going to do is grab that skeleton head that we cut, and I put a pretty good portion of hot glue all the way around it, and I'm going to stick it up toward the top. And you can do your picture horizontal or vertical. It'll look good both ways, just whatever your personal preference is. The next step, I didn't record, and I'm so mad at myself for doing that. But you see the skeleton hands have a hole already in them. I simply just ran a zip tie through them, and I poked 2 holes in the cardboard, one on top of the other, with my scissors, and just ran the zip tie through. And if you tie it tight enough, it looks like his hands are coming out. And I'm so sorry that I didn't record that part. I didn't realize that the camera wasn't rolling. I did have this little spider, and I didn't like that the glitter was showing on here, so I just grabbed some black paint and I covered that part up. And the next thing I'm going to do is grab some of the cobweb from Dollar Tree, and you really have to pull this stuff apart. And I don't like the way that this feels, but it's all for the project, right? So you really just have to pull it apart several times, because the way that they weave it, if you don't pull it apart good, they kind of look funny in my opinion. But I just kept kind of pulling it apart, and I started it over the top of the picture and draped it all the way down to the bottom. And that's literally all I did on this project. It was super easy. And trust me, the thing with the hands is no big deal. It's got the hole in there. You put the zip tie in it and just tie it onto the back and just cut off that excess, and the hands will just literally look like they're coming out. Now this looks really cool at nighttime when the lights are on, and I hope you like this one. The next DIY is my personal favorite of this whole video. I have one of these little hoops from Dollar Tree, of course, and then these branches actually came from Temu. You get about 10 of them for just a couple of dollars, and you know the bottom of them is wire. Well, the whole thing is wire, but I just took the wire and I wrapped it around the hoop so that it would stay there. I ended up putting 2 on each side to make it look like trees, or, you know, kind of like a dark, spooky tree. And each time I did it the same way. I just took that wire and I wrapped it and wrapped it around the bottom. Since they fan out like a tree or like a branch, it kind of holds itself together up against that hoop, and it looks really cool when it's all said and done. I put one just a little bit lower than the other so it would make a little bit more of a statement, and of course you can put as many of these as you want. If there's any of the wire sticking out after you've wrapped it around, just grab some cutters and cut it off, because it is wire and it can poke you. Then the next thing that I'm gonna do is grab my little ghost in a swing. I got this little guy off of Temu too, and he was just a couple of dollars. I absolutely loved this when I saw it and knew what I wanted to do with it. I cut the jute cord that is holding him in half and just made a knot on each side so that it would hold him on there, and he looks like he's swinging from the top of this. I didn't do anything special, it's just a very simple knot. Now this thing looks cute exactly the way it is, and I could have stopped right there, but I felt like that he needed to be more stable because the ghost is a little heavy, and I didn't want it to just fall over, which it probably could if something bumped a cabinet or whatever it's sitting on. So I got the idea to grab one of those mirrors from Dollar Tree. And you guys know how I love these mirrors. I like to do different stuff with them. I'm going to place my little battery pack on the back of the mirror, and you know that these just pop off. You can just open these up and take the mirror out. So what I did was I just kind of slid that wire through there. That way my battery pack is not going to be exposed. And I proceeded to wrap my lights all the way around on this little mirror. Now I didn't go in any particular order, and these are the lights that I had 24 of. They're orange and purple, and I always link these down below because you can get them for like $11 for 24 packs of these things, and I've used almost every pack of mine with my Halloween DIYs. I took some of that cobweb and laid it down over the top, and then just put some hot glue right in the center, and I set my ghost right down. You see the bottom of that is like a wood block, and so it just held right onto that hot glue, and it makes a perfect spooky glow. The thing is, that mirror really reflects the light, and it looks so neat. I wanted to add some of these smaller ornaments, and at this part I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I grabbed some of the bigger ornaments, and these are from Dollar Tree. I simply took some black floral wire and I placed the ornament on the floral wire, and I just wound it around the little metal hoops. I put 2 on the right hand side, 1 orange one and 1 black, because the contrast just really made it look good. Then I grabbed a few of the smaller ones and I stuck all 3 of them on one piece of floral wire, which was really the smarter way of doing it because it made like a little grouping, and instead of doing them individually, it's so much easier to place 3 of them together and then just wound that around the little wire. And so I did that on the right side. I did the exact same thing on the left side, except for this time I did it smarter. I took one of the large ornaments and then I placed a couple of the smaller ones next, and then the other large ornament, and just made kind of like a large bundle, if you will. That way I only had to do it one time, and I wound it around so that it'll be nice and tight, and then I took that piece and I tied it right up on the left side. Then I took one of the Halloween pumpkins that came in something last year from Dollar Tree. It is the orange and black striped one. I'm just going to lay it down or set it down beside him and then one of the little ornaments as a makeshift pumpkin. For the next DIY, I wanted to try my hand at that ghost drawing that everybody started last year. I didn't get a chance to do it last year, and as you see, this picture that I chose came from Goodwill for $2.99, although there's a ton of them that you can get from the Dollar Tree if you want to keep this all Dollar Tree. I felt that since I can't draw to save my life, the best thing to do would to be use one of these little metallic markers from Dollar Tree that's white. And that way I just kind of shaded in, kind of like a rough sketch of the ghost that I wanted, and it turned out perfect that way. I can always come back later and fill it in with my paint. But this way, if I make a big boo-boo, get it? I can always go back and fix it and no one knows. I wanted to fill my whole picture up with ghosts, so over here on the right hand side we've got 3 ghost ladies having lunch, and these are super easy to draw even if you can't draw. And this one lady here that's sitting sideways, I wanted her to have a big butt. That's just something that was funny in my head. I don't know why. So I drew her with a large ghostly bottom, and you literally just have to color in or like draw right over the object. And what I mean by that is there was already a chair there. It was just an empty chair, and you literally just draw the ghost. And trust me, like I said, I cannot draw to save my life, but it turned out really good, and I'm very proud of this. I wanted to put a little ghost up in the window up here, and he's just kind of hanging out, watching everybody. And I feel that right now, while you're watching me draw this part, is a good time to say I am so happy and thankful that you came my way today to spend a little time in craft with me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would love for you to hit that little red subscribe button and become a part of our family. Also, if you are enjoying this video, would you please hit the like button for me, because it really helps out my channel. And leave me a comment. That helps out the channel too. If you don't like to leave comments too much, just leave me a heart emoji. That counts as a comment. So I'm very thankful for all the support that you guys give me. I did draw one little ghost there in the background and decided that he's going to be a little kid and he has balloons. And all I'm doing here is taking this beautiful color called Summer Crush. It's a DIY paint color, and I'm just literally tapping it in the leaves. Most of the leaves in this picture was kind of like a reddish burgundy color. Some of them were orange, but I wanted to add more orange because this is a Halloween/fall picture, and I found it very, very easy to do this. This is one of the biggest trends that was out last year, and I wish I would have done this sooner. I may go ahead and get a bigger picture and make another one, because just sitting and doing nothing but painting like this for a little while was actually very relaxing and very nice. I made a little pumpkin on the bottom left-hand corner just by tapping my brush, and then I made one up on the banister beside where the little ghost is. Once I filled in all the leaves and I've got all my little guys drawn, I was looking at the bridge there and I thought, there's got to be a little ghost standing on the top of this bridge. He's just hanging out and looking. And I kind of made his little arm go up to look like he's waving. The last thing that I wanted to add to my picture was some little bats. And like I said, I can't draw to save my life. So mine are literally kind of like birds. I did the little generic M looking thing, but it actually turned out good. I mean, you can tell they're bats. It looks good, and they're small enough so that it could probably fool somebody. I just dipped a very detailed paintbrush in some black paint and made like the little M all over. And then I took my paintbrush, and mind you, I said it's a very detailed brush, and it was still going to be too big. So I took a little fine point Sharpie to draw their eyes in. I felt that made it so much easier to draw their little eyes in. And I did any kind of fine tuning of the bats and that kind of thing while I was at it. The next thing I did is grab my color beadboard. It's a DIY paint, and it is my favorite off-white color. It's just really pretty. It's not a very stark white, but it's perfect for a ghost. And all I'm doing here is just kind of going through and being really careful to just color in what I had already done. I'm going to go ahead and drastically speed up this part because there's no reason for you to sit and watch me paint every bit of these ghosts. Just know that I kind of made the outline, and then I'm just going through and painting. And then I decided to use my black Sharpie to go ahead and put their eyes back on, because I had to paint right over them again when I painted all my ghost white. And then when I painted the little guy in the background and made his balloons, I decided to paint the balloons orange and black because, hello, Halloween. And my little ghost couple that's here in the front that's walking, of course she had to have a Crafty Cathy hair bow. So I put a little hair bow on her head, and I made it orange, and I decided to put little black polka dots on it because she is a lover of vintage too, and I thought that it just looked good. And I hope you guys like this picture, and I hope you like my little ghost that's like a Kardashian with her big butt sitting over there having dinner with the ladies. And I have to crack a corny joke and say, you definitely know that they're hitting the booze. You guys really got to try this one. It's fun and easy and really looks good. Now we're headed into number 4. I grabbed some of these bats, and keep in mind that you can do what we're about to do with any of their little hanging stuff from Dollar Tree. They had bats, a witch's hat, and a spider web, and there was something else they had. And we're going to do the spider web in just a minute, but we're going to do it in a different way. Okay, so I just grabbed my cutters and cut the little tag off the top, and I wanted to show you these wings literally pop out the back of them, and then you can pull the tinsel off all in one long piece, and you can save that tinsel and use it for a different DIY. And then I just popped the little wings right back on the way that they came, and I've seen other people do this, and it always turns out looking really good. I like the way it looked, and I wanted to try it myself. And so all we're going to do is grab this black yarn that I got, and I got this yarn for $2.37 at Walmart, this big bunch of it. But you know they do have big things of yarn for $5 at Dollar Tree. I just thought the $2.37 was a much better deal. So I started off with one of the wings, and you're literally just going to go around and around. That's all you're going to do. If you ever get to a spot where, like say where the wing points, just put a little bit of glue right there to hold your thread so it won't kind of bunch up on you. And it's okay if you have to backtrack to cover up a spot really good or whatever, because when all is said and done, you're not going to notice. You're not going to notice if you did have to backtrack or if you were kind of messy with it or whatever. I wasn't really messy with mine. I kind of kept it in line, and I really, really liked the way that this looked. I went ahead and covered one of the bat's wings, and when I got to the very edge there, I just put some more glue and just cut it off. And as I was nearing the end, you see I had to use a little bit more glue, but that's the reason why I showed you me doing the whole wing, so you could realize I honestly didn't use that much glue throughout this project. And then the next thing that I did was start off with one of the little ears. I guess they're ears. Bats have ears. Okay, I started with the other wing. I thought I started with the other part, but anywho. So I did the exact same thing and went around. I'm not going to make you watch all that part. Now we're going to go into the ears. And if you'll notice, I left that black tinsel on the bat's body. It was just a personal preference. I really didn't want to fool with taking it off because we're using black yarn. So it's not going to make any difference. I'm having trouble gathering my words today in case you didn't catch on to that. But I went over one ear and then I just kept going and went vertical on the body. And then when I finished up the body, I went right over to that other ear. And it made it so easy to do it this way. And I did want to throw in there that I've seen other people use different things. You don't have to use black yarn like I have. I've seen them use like some of the thicker jute, and it's brown. Some of those people would take it outside and spray paint it black. Others left it brown, and it looks really cute both ways. So however you want to do it. You could even get funky with it and make all different colors. Now, if any of your little like tinsel is sticking out, just grab something and cut it off. It's really no big deal. It just looks like little hairs. And these are the different types that I was just now mentioning that you could use, like some thicker thread or some of the jute, some of the thicker jute or thinner. Now, I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing again. Like I said, I did 2 of these bats. I'm going to do the girl and I'm going to do the guy. Then the next step is just to grab some of your string lights after you cut off the little fuzzies, of course. And I glued my battery pack to the very back, and then I just started in no particular fashion going around my bat. I realized that it takes a lot more fairy lights than what I had. So just be careful how you do these so that you're going to have enough to cover your whole bat. And definitely I had to make one a little girl and give her a Crafty Cathy hair bow. So I ended up making the little girl bat and the little boy bat, and these are cute in the daytime, but at nighttime when you turn them on is when they really make a statement. Our final DIY is going to be one of the spider webs, and this is what I was talking about, that you can do these with different ones. You don't have to leave them exactly like they are, even though they're cute the way they are. I went ahead and cut everything off the top, and then the spider, he's just glued on, so you can just pull him off of there. And I did leave the tinsel on this one. I'm going to grab one of these lace table runners, and if you come across these, make sure you get some of these. I got a couple of these this year. I have one draped on my fireplace and then one on like my TV table, and they're just really pretty as they are. They have cobwebs and spiders on all over them, and they're a really good deal for just $1.25. It's really pretty lace if you ask me. I'm just going to take a string of lights, and I ended up using 2 strings of lights. I'm going to put the battery pack right in the middle, and I was just going to wrap it around here, but realized quickly that I'm losing half of the light. So what I did was just go up at the top, and then I would weave it around the top of the spider web and go back down, and then weave it back under that spider web. I hope that makes sense, because at first I put 1 or 2 little dots of glue and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this, because when you do it that way, you have to wait for the glue to dry, and I'm not that patient. I did use glue the first time, but I'm just telling you, it is much easier if you just go ahead and wrap it around the top. You'll get a much quicker result anyways. But, I mean, you can do it any way you want to. I'm just saying I feel like that's probably more efficient if you are like me and very impatient. So on the second one here, you'll see that I did it the way that I'm talking about, because I figured that it was much smarter to do it that way. I put that second battery pack right over the first one, and here you can see where I'm looping it like I was talking about. Just looping it over and under that web. That way I'm not wasting any glue or time. I'm just wrapping it around, and it's so much easier that way. Now when I got to the very end, of course I had to put a little bit of glue to hold it on. Then we're going to take our lace runner, and it's too bad that the lace runner is not thick enough to cover the whole spider web. It almost did, but not quite. And I just pulled it around. I'm going to make the pretty side on the front, and you lay it right over the top of your lights. And then the back side, you're just going to pull it around, and you're going to just glue it on the side. If there's any excess, go ahead and cut that off, because you want it to be as like transparent and see-through as possible because of those lights. Whenever I put the second piece on, I matched up the sides so that there wouldn't be such a drastic, so it wouldn't be so obvious, that you are putting 2 pieces together. I'm so sorry, I'm having trouble just getting my words to make sense today. Sometimes when you're editing, it's like that, because you kind of feel like you're put on the spot to explain what you're doing. And sometimes it's hard to explain things, and you just kind of lose your words, And I don't know, it's just really hard to explain that. And, I have bad days just like everybody else. And some days I'm really chipper and in a good mood, and some days I don't make a bit of sense. But I just stuck my little spider right back on the top with a little bit of glue. I hope you like this one. If you guys stuck with me through all of today's video, I just want to say thank you so much for coming and spending time with me today and crafting. If you would, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave me a comment. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking about my prize chicken, Loretta. I'm just enjoying the little bit of time that I have left with her. The vet calls it chicken hospice. Don't forget that my videos are every Monday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Be seeing you guys back here next time, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Did you know that you can click on my face right here and become a part of our channel? You sure can, and I would love it if you would do that. Also, if you did enjoy this type of content, I have 2 other videos right here. All you have to do is click on it, and it will take you there in just 1 second when this one's finished. God bless you guys and your families.